Hi, everybody, and welcome to Ringside Muhammad Ali here on ESPN Classic. I'm Brian Kenny, just blocks away from the Brooklyn Bridge at the site of another historic New York City landmark, Gleason's Gym.
Olympia Milano Panathinaikos BC 3.
Over the next
Stevie
3
Arena
hours, we'll roll
Zabersen
out vintage
57
Ali
to
bouts
42.
from the classic library and sprinkle in some hidden gems from the archives. Plus, commentary throughout the broadcast from our distinguished panel.
Boxing historian Bert Sugar, Canadian heavyweight George Chuvalo, boxing author and columnist Jerry Eisenberg, and former heavyweight champion and Ali sparring partner Larry Holmes.
But round 7, let's pick up with Muhammad doing the voiceover. This was the round that really settled the fight.
Terrell just missed 2 jabs there, and that one just tapped me. Those 2 missed. And I like to say how it was really discouraging to see a man such as me with his guard down, no defense, and can't hit him, and all the time he's hitting you. This is really discouraging.
Aren't you surprised by his adoption of the peekaboo style?
Well, yes, he realized that his speed didn't match mine, nor did his hitting power, so he seemed to be fighting just to stay. There, I just tagged him. I just hit him with a hook, a right hand, and he's just about going. I thought I had him. I hit him with 1 hook. I hit him with a right hand there. That was a 1-2 punch, a 1-2. That was another 1-2, but they missed. Those missed because he has his shield up. And I have to give him credit. He really blocked a lot of them, and he had the nerve to come back fighting, as you see now. He's coming back. He threw a few rabbit punches. He's shook now. I really put all I had on him, and right now I'm trying to take him out, but you see he's got his guard right there. It's hard to come through it, and it takes a lot of energy. It tires me to constantly throw that many punches, so I had to take my time, because when I had him shook, he wouldn't go. So I had to resort to dancing and moving in order to keep from tiring myself out. But I'm jabbing him and keeping him off of me. He's just walking into me. He's not concentrating on punching himself. He's just walking and looking to block, looking to survive.
Suddenly, he is no longer a taller man than you. You notice?
Well, if you notice from the start of the fight, he never was really too much trouble because I'm too fast on my feet. There he just missed a good 1-2 punch, and that right hand grazed my jaw.
Only grazed you.
Right.
Looked better than it was.
No, it really didn't hurt how it just grazed. There he just hit on the break again, which was a foul.
That time he did seem to be groping for you blindly.
There he's, if you're speaking of blindness, however, if you're watching, he's blocking my punches. He see them coming, and he's hitting at me. And if I wasn't as fast as I was, he would hit me. As you see, he's not punching and acting like a blind man. He's right on me. He seems to see pretty well.
So the end of round 7. Round 8 will be coming up in a moment right after this message.
We're watching Howard Cosell with Muhammad Ali. Bert, what's your take on Cosell? Because again, following him in his later years, he was a guy who would take on the NFL and be highly critical of those in power. At the time, clinging to Muhammad Ali, was he an opportunist or someone that was gravitating towards someone who was fighting the establishment at that time?
The Cosell-Ali relationship was probably the most unusual association since Professor Rorschach knocked over his inkwell. You didn't know what the hell these 2 guys were doing, but they played off each other very well. I know Howard would tell you he made Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali would tell you he made Howard. That's probably closer to the truth. Howard did champion Muhammad Ali, both in his name change, the first person to do that, not call him Cassius Clay when everybody else did after he changed his name, but Howard did. Championed his stance against the draft. And yet Howard was Howard. Howard, insecure in every respect, loved to tell, and I was up at the ABC studios one day when he stepped out in the hall and said, "Guess who just called me? Cal Van Hill," to which Roone Arledge shouted, "Howard, go back in your office." So he wore his associations like bracelets. Ali was one of them. I mean, and Ali could play off of them, saying, "Howard, you're nobody's fool, you're everybody's fool." Or, "Howard, I wish I were a dog and you were a fire hydrant." See, he'd do that. Now, Howard loved Ali. He then loved and championed and associated himself with Sugar Ray Leonard. What is interesting is when there was no more Ali in boxing and no more Sugar Ray Leonard in boxing, he found it, if you will, convenient to step away from boxing because there was no one.
After the Tex Cobb fight with Larry Holmes, it seemed disingenuous at that point then to suddenly abhor the sport.
Yeah, I mean, he had followed it because it helped make him. But still, I listened to Howard, and he really never knew what he was talking about, but he never was afraid to loudly express his opinion.
Very well put. Let's go back right now. Again, it is Muhammad Ali and Howard Cosell. As Cosell started to ask Ali about
Armenia
his taunting of
Bielefeld
Bernie
VfL
Terrell in this
Bochum.
fight.
Gol, 2-0 Armenia
important to
Bielefeld.
show you viewers round 8, because this is where I believe the real controversy about Ali began. You will see him flagrantly taunt his
Armenia
opponent,
Bielefeld VfL
as he
Bochum.
belabors
69
it with
feet
punches.
Gol,
And
2-0
I think
Patrick
you were
Wimmer.
wrong when you said before that all the press is writing about is the foul blows and the foul blows. I don't think they've been unfair to you there. The big question as far as the press was concerned was your pitiless taunting of this man. Now, how do you defend that?
Well, I'll defend that like this, Howie. I told the press before the fight, I faced Ernie Terrell as a man to man, and I told him that my name is Muhammad Ali in the world, and the people know my name is Muhammad Ali, and this was the approach, and he deliberately insulted me publicly and said my name is Cassius Clay, when it's not so. I told Terrell, I looked the press right into their eyes, and I told them that I would do this, so I don't see why they're so shocked and so surprised.
All right, let the public judge as we look at the beginning of round 8 and as they see your behavior in the ring.
And I'd like to say another thing, how as far as my behavior is concerned, I'm not, it takes a man to apologize when he's wrong, especially when he don't have to apologize, which I don't. But I will say that the ring was no place for me to just stop fighting and start talking, as you will see earlier. And it was my manager, Herbert Muhammad's verbal punishment after the fight, which is making me say what I'm saying now. And that's to Ernie Terrell and to all of my sports fans, that if it's that bad and wrong, which I know it is in a way, I do apologize for stopping and using the ring for a speaking rostrum when it should have been used for boxing. So that's all I can say for that. But it's done now and it's over. There he's missing jabs, as you see. There he just had his palm of his glove in my face. And many people, however, are saying that I shouldn't have beat him like this, that I shouldn't have beat him for 15 rounds like this. And I like to say it's my job to fight. It's my job to beat him until he falls or beat him until someone stops it. If I don't, he's going to beat me. So it's the referee's job to stop the fights, and it's the judge's job, and it's the doctor's job to stop the fight if he was beat so unmercifully, as the press said. There I just hit him with a good hook, a couple of good
You were
hooks.
screaming, "What's my name?"
Not then, not yet. I'm saying something, but I forgot. My blood was hot. I'm a warrior. I'm a fighter. And it's kind of hard to hold me down when I get hot. But right now, I'm asking him, what's my name? And I think at one time he did say Muhammad Ali. It was in a clinch. He said Muhammad Ali. I do remember hearing him saying Muhammad Ali. There I'm saying, what's my name? Which my manager, Herbert Muhammad, criticized me and verbally gave me a good lashing. So I have to apologize here on the show because I was wrong for talking. But I'm sure that he would have rather for me to talk the whole fight than to hit him. But I have to say he was a man. He did take it, Howard. And I have to say, I don't think I could take that much punishment. I've never really been hit too hard. And a man being hit that much, and as you see, he didn't quit. He's still fighting. They can't criticize him for stopping, as they did Sonny Liston and many more fighters. There you see me asking him what's my name, which is wrong again.
We'll be back with the final rounds of the Ali Terrell fight, and then it's Muhammad taking on Zora Foley at Madison Square Garden.
We're going to pick up with the 14th and the 15th. But before we do that, I want to ask you this. You have now apologized on this show to the people, to the writers, for taunting Terrell. Do you think words...
For talking to him, not for whipping him.
No, but for taunting him vocally.
Yeah.
Do you think words of apology now
VFL Wolfsburg 1, FC Köln, Gall 2-2-1,
I'd say
FC
one thing,
Köln.
this is an awful weak excuse. And I think the American public out there who witnessed this fight, who's watching this show, knows that this is an awful weak excuse for the press to use and not recognizing the fight as the way it was. One fella, he's either crippled or he's got a bullet in him. That's the excuse. The next fella is he was old, or the next fella he was his arm was broke or his back was broke.
That relates to you
now
as
it's
a
my
fighter.
talking. Now it's my talking. Is what's the reason for not seeing the fight like it was. But I think the people who's watching the television now can see that the report that the press gave was awful.
VFL Wolfsburg 1,
No, they
FC
can't see
Köln,
that. They can
73
see the
feet
fight.
tall,
Mainly,
But
mainly.
what they
2-2
couldn't
Mark
see
Ruth.
was your behavior pattern. The fact is, reporters, many of them printed it,
Well, that's
the cruelty in
so-
your eyes, the malice in your voice.
I'm out to be cruel. That's what the boxing game is about. He's out to beat me, or I'm out to beat him. And as far as the fight being cruel, as far as the fight being a cruel, brutal 15 rounds as they print it, I think it's the referee has the authority to stop it if it's so cruel. The judges have authority to stop it if it's so cruel. And the doctor who was in his corner at each round had the authority to stop it if it was so cruel. And if I had stopped it, it wouldn't have been legal. He would have won the fight if I had stopped. So it's my job to whip him.
You are not a stupid boy. Let's
Thank
look
you,
at
Howard. You're not
rounds.
as dumb as you look.
Let's look at rounds 14 and 15. They should be coming up in just a second. Stop smiling. You're not so funny.
And if you watch him, Howard, he sees all of my punches coming, and he's also punching back at me. He's following me. And I think if a man is blind, he couldn't do this. So I think blindness is another excuse Terrell used for losing this fight. I just hit him with a hook there. That was two body punches and a hook. He just missed a fast left jab.
I wish you had told our viewers,
just missed
Mohammed,
another
that
hook.
we had picked up the 14th round in progress and will go directly to the 15th without a break.
Right. They just missed a wild hook. Now he's holding me. He's deliberately holding me, stalking for rest. And as you can see, both of his eyes are puffed and swelled. And I don't think that that incident near the rope did that. I think they were the punches that bruised him, which is not an honor. I'm not bragging to bruise a person, but just explaining the so-called foul. Well, the cut over his eye and his bruised face, I'm sure, didn't come from a half a second on the ropes. There he just put his palm of his left hand in my face again, which could blind me if I'm not careful.
I still don't understand why you couldn't put him away.
Well, I tried, but he just wouldn't go. It's best I can say. I just won. If I put him away in one round, it's bad. If I put him away in 3 rounds, it's bad. If I talk to him, it's bad. If I whip him clean, it's bad. And I'm just wrong if I do it and wrong if I don't.
You're really persecuted.
Well, not really. It's just everybody have a right to their own opinion, and I don't think that the newspapers and the editors of the whole papers know that the
VFL
reporters are doing the
Wolfsburg
job
1.
that they're doing,
FC
because it's
Köln.
really unfair to
Gaul
the fans
3-2
to come away
VFL
distorting
Wolfsburg.
things just outright with evil intentions.
You've just spoken about 32 mouthfuls, each of which is subject to 32 different retorts. You realize that?
I'm telling the truth, that's all. And if you tell the truth, how on this show, if you defend me like you usually
VFL
do,
Wolfsburg
you will
1.
catch
FC
criticism too.
Köln. Ispravik Resultate
And I'll say it for
2-2.
you.
I have
you
never
can't.
defended you. I have never gone against you.
You defended me greatly when I fought George Chuvalo. You stopped the punches. You showed the low blows. This man has hit me low. He has rabbit punched me. He has hit me on breaks. He has butted. He has put the palm of his glove in my face, and you haven't said nothing about that yet. I understand why.
I think the pictures are speaking for themselves with regard to
But
the
they
fouls.
don't-
I don't personally think the fouls are a real issue in this fight. Your behavior pattern is portrayed by the American
Real
press,
Madrid
a
Alba
very
Berlin
definite
3.
issue as it relates
Stevie
to
Ardina
you, your
Zaversena
image.
60
I
to
don't see
46.
that a man's
There's
privacy of
nothing.
worship, his right to his own religion, or a man's utilization of due process with regard to his military posture before the government.
and I like to
I don't
say-
see that they're involved. And nobody has said they're
Can you
involved, and the
box?
press hasn't said
Can
they're
you
involved.
box? All I will say is this. You have your say. If I'm going to be judged by the American press, which are white people, mainly white press, white people, not the Negro, then I think that if I'm going to be judged for talking to a man, then you would be awful, awful guilty if you were judged for the wrong and the things that you are doing every day and have been doing for the 400 years for the so-called Negro in America.
In the meantime, a lot of people are now going to say you can't punch. You couldn't knock him out.
That's all right. I could punch after Williams, but I can't punch now. They change every day. I don't pay no attention to them. But you have a lot of nerve to spend so much millions of dollars in press time and criticizing me for talking. I wish all other people did to people was talk to them. I think what I'm doing now is worse than talking to him. You should be criticizing me for whipping him. That's worse than talking. Why make such an itch over talking? That whipping is what you should be mad about. That's what y'all mad about, the whipping. You're using the talking for an excuse. So, Howard, I don't want to get hot here on the show.
Oh, you got hot enough in the ring after the fight, you remember?
I have to say, he's really a man, Howard. I got to give him to him. He kept fighting. He didn't quit, and I was surprised. The man's eyes were closed, but he still kept coming. He just wouldn't quit, and he took my best.
Manchester City leads United. Gaul 4-0 Manchester City.
We're less than 30 seconds away from the end of the fight.
He's hitting low now, Howard, but the film didn't show it exactly, but I didn't stop it. I'll criticize it. There, I just hit him with a volley of punches. There, he's holding me and pulling me over the rope and hitting me. He's hitting and holding, which the crowd is booing.
So the fight ended in overwhelming victory
Manchester
for
City
Muhammad
leads
Ali.
United. 49 feet Gaul 4-0 Riyad
Coming
Mahrez.
up, round one of the Ali Foley 1967 title fight. The contender connects with his best shot.
For the spot. And that was not a soft punch.
One. FSB Mainz 05 Hertha BSC. Gaul
We'll
4-0-1.
be back with Ali's next fight
FSB
against
Mainz
number one
05.
contender Zora Foley from Madison Square Garden and in living color. Another bonus is pre-fight coverage from the Classic Archives. Here's Howard Cosell sparring with the greatest on the eve of the Foley fight.
Are you taking Zora Foley too lightly?
Why would you say that?
Because every indication has been that you're confident that you can beat Zora.
I'm confident I can whip all of them. This ain't nothing new. My image has been confident. What you're trying to make it look like something new for? I'm always confident I can whip all of them.
You're being extremely truculent.
Whatever truculent mean, if that's good, I'm that.
John Dunphy with Win Elliott at Madison Square Garden. We're here to bring you the heavyweight championship bout between champion Muhammad Ali and the challenger Zora Foley.
Training headquarters at Madison Square Garden, and the champion arrives. Floats like a butterfly, stings like a bee, but as you will notice, he responds to an audience. No champion in history has ever been as sensitive to the people around him. He's in shape. At this moment, as we saw him, about 211. Fighting weight, we presume, around 204
1.
or 205.
FSV -05
Others may
Hertha
determine his
BSC,
future in
79
terms of
feet
the
Gaul,
fights he
4-0
fights.
Jean-Paul
But we notice
Bodius.
that the champion concentrates on the fight of the moment. Very concerned with his condition, dedicated to being in shape. Of course, speed is his forte, and that's what he works on in these workouts. Jimmy Ellis is sparring mate. And how about this training routine? I asked the champ, do you ever get tired of all the training?
It's a grind. Training is a grind. This is one reason I'm not hit. This is one reason no one can't hit me, because I train hard and I do a lot of road work. I'm ranked as history's fastest heavyweight by all the boxing scientists.
And now the sparring session. He and Jimmy Ellis, who will be on the card earlier, fighting Johnny Pearsall, grew up together in Louisville. They know one another. Ellis, as you will see, is fast in his own right. The champion, wearing the protective headgear and the abdominal protector, too, constantly works on his shiftiness, his speed, in and out, the float concept, and occasionally the sting. Neither one tries to hurt each other in this session. Just sharpen up the speed, the reflexes. The champion who fights so constantly doesn't need the heavy work. Just keep the edge honed. I suspect he intends to come in about 204, 205.
Olympia Milano Panathinaikos
On the toes,
BC,
and you will
Kraj,
notice, too, the way he just
75 to
flips the
54.
punches. Angie Dundee, down at ringside, watched everything, and I asked him, is there going to be any change in the strategy for the fight with Foley?
Well, yes, there's got to be a big change, because this fellow catch quick, you make a mistake and he makes you pay for it, and he can put you on the floor. So there's going to be a lot of change in strategy, and you'll see it in the incoming fight.
Right. Thank you, Angelo Dundee. Finally, after the workout, we got a chance to talk to the champion himself. Champ, what do you anticipate from Foley?
Well, I'll know in a few minutes. I expect him to be a good boxer. I know he's punching good with both hands. He's hitting hard with both hands. He's not too fast on his feet, but he's clever and he's smart.
He has had a number of knockouts to his credit, and you've never really been tagged. Do you have any special defense for him?
Well, I've never really been tagged, and many people say they don't know what'll happen if I can take a punch or not. And I'd like to say to those people that I plan to never let you know if I can take a punch, because I never plan to be really hit. And the name of the game is hitting and not being hit, and I would like to retire being the honest fighter that they could say that never got hit. But I'll be moving fast and building up points, and if I see a knockout, I'll try to get it.
In previous fights, some of them have been float, others have been sting. Are you trying to tell us this one is going to be punch?
Nope, I'm not a puncher. I don't hit too hard. I just keep my face smooth and dance and move fast and do all the hitting, but I never get hit. And then when I do hit, I don't hit that fast. But if a knockout do come, it could come. I knocked out Cleveland Williams, and I knocked out Archie Moore, and I knocked out Brian London, and some fall and some don't. In other words, different strokes for different folks.
When you step into the ring here at Madison Square Garden tonight, will you have any special feeling?
Well, this was my main goal, being the champion and fighting in the Garden, but I've excelled so greatly in sports until this is just another arena as far as I'm concerned. I've been on the satellites in Houston Astrodome. I've drawn the biggest crowds in fighting history. And I've taken boxing to countries such as Egypt and Sudan, Arabia, and Scotland and Holland, places that never followed boxing from this country. And the things that I have to my credit have become so great until this is just another event in here. But I do believe it will be a special occasion in a few minutes when the people in the Madison Square Garden see the Muhammad Ali come into the Garden. This is the first heavyweight title fight that's been in the Garden in 15 years, I think. And this is a big boost for the Garden.
As it must to all men, and as it eventually will happen to you, should you be defeated.
Retire tonight.
Unalterably, that is a decision.
Retire. I've said it once and I'll say it again.
Is there any contract for a return bout?
Never return clauses in my bouts. I'm a real fighting champion. I'm the first real fighting champion. No return clauses and giving every contender a chance to make some money.
Well, your last thoughts?
I'm just ready to go out. Tired of talking. Ready to go out and defend the title. Everybody's out here waiting, and I'm ready.
Back here at Gleason's gym, Brian Kenny, Burt Randolph-Sugar, and George Chuvalo. And Zora Foley is up next for Muhammad Ali. Last fight before the banishment. And George, you too fought Zora Foley a few years before.
Is there anybody you didn't fight?
You only missed Sonny Liston, right?
I missed Sonny Liston, but I signed to fight him, but he's dead a week when I inked the contract. He was already dead 7 days. But that's the only guy I
signed to fight him.
All the champs that were around basically when I was fighting.
Frazier, Foreman,
in my prime.
Quarry,
and so on.
yeah. And all right, Zora Foley. What did you think of Zora Foley?
Well, Zora Foley's a very good counterpuncher, but I knew he'd have trouble with Ali because he's not aggressive at all. He's not, you know, in order to beat Ali, you have to be extremely aggressive. The only guy that I thought could beat Ali that wasn't aggressive was Jimmy Young. He's the only one that had a shot that wasn't really aggressive. You have to be aggressive to beat Ali.
And Zora Foley was as quiet in real life as he was in the ring. A very sweet, mild-mannered man. Last man you would think was a fighter.
Yeah, he was a mild-mannered guy. Something like yourself, Bert.
Go ahead. You guys mix it up. Let's take a look right now at Zora Foley again. This out of the archives here at ESPN Classic. A little pre-fight feature on Zora Foley.
Zora Foley is an even quieter, more determined, more reserved man, as we will now see as we join and watch this training film.
Zora Foley, the challenger, been waiting an even dozen years for his chance at the
VFL Wolfsburg 1, FC Cologne, Gall 2-3-1, FC Cologne.
That's incentive enough, and this is his big moment. If he's ever going to make the pot at the end of that rainbow, this is the chance for Zora Foley. Attending the training camp are folks from all walks of life, including the socially elite, like Rocky Graziano.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you.
Rock, what do you think is going to happen in the fight?
Well, I think that Foley's going to give him a pretty good fight, but I think Clay will eventually knock him out. And it's going to be a real tough fight because this guy is not the bravest guy in the world, Foley, and he's a very cautious fighter, and he's a good right-hand puncher. And you may happen to see Clay on the floor, but I think that eventually the 15 rounds...
VFL Wolfsburg 1, FC Cologne, 89 feet Gall, 2-3 Anthony Modeste.
Zora, what are your thoughts as you approach the big moment?
Well, I can thank myself at last I'm getting a shot for the big one. I've been waiting around 10 or 12 years for it. It seemed like I finally get my big chance.
Mm-hmm. There are some who have seen you fight who occasionally question well, they say you're a lackadaisical fighter. Do you resent that?
No, I don't. I always go by my record. I've had over 80 fights and over 40 knockouts. And most of the champions have been too scared to fight, so they can say what they wish. I'll still go by my record.
Had it ever crossed your mind that you were never going to get this shot, that it was all for nothing?
Well, at one time, a few years ago, when I was #1 contender for about 2.5 or 3 years, and Floyd Patterson was champion, it did cross my mind at that time. It kind of looked like I wasn't going to get a chance, but as I went along, picked back up some of my confidence that I would get a shot and got back serious at it again.
And now here it is, and this is the thing you've been dreaming about. Does it bother you? Do you think about it? Do you get emotional about it?
Well, I don't get too emotional about it now. At that time, I did get emotional about it, but like I said, the time is here now, and my dream has came true, and I'm ready for it now.
How many rooters have you got for yourself back there in Chandler, Arizona?
Well, out of my home, I got 9 with my wife. I have 8 kids, I think you know.
Yeah. And the eldest?
The oldest is 13 the other day, and he'll be here to see this fight.
For program information, log on to ESPN.com. Keyword ringside.